demons.
Welcome back to the Great Primeval Show. I am the Ark Minister, and I'm joined by Ancient Realms and Hodgepodge. Today we'll be breaking down Episode 7 of Primeval Series 3, also known as Dragon Tales in North America,
Die Drachenjäger
in Germany, and
Le Dracorex
in France. Written by Andrew Rattenbury and directed by Richard Curson Smith.
This is one of the coldest openings for any episode in the show. With almost every other episode, we're at least shown the present, or characters we recognise, so we have something to relate to, such as a creature attack, which leaves viewers wanting more, even sometimes with locations and characters we know. With this, it's so jarring to be suddenly plunged into this medieval world, with no context.
The Tale of Sir William.
We are introduced to the 16th century knight Sir William de Mornay, and others of his contemporaries cowering in a church as monstrous noises come from outside. Children and the ill hide in fear. The depressing reality is that the bishop likely wouldn't have let the poorer townsfolk take shelter in the church, and would have left them to fend for themselves.
A bit harsh.
The priest instructs Sir William by saying,
"Only you can save us from the beast."
Sir William is played by Tony Curran, who is good friends with Jason Fleming in real life. He later went on to play a somewhat similarly tortured character from the past, Vincent van Gogh, in Series 5 of Doctor Who. William stops briefly to say farewell to his sweetheart, Lady Elizabeth Lionel, who gives him a keepsake to remember her by.
I pray that you take this favor as a token of my gratitude.
Thanks.
Both of these characters are fictitious, and not based on anyone real, although there was a real-life person called William de Mornay of Drumsagard. William then exits the church on horseback with a lance and in his shining armour to face the beast terrorising the village.
You stink of horse.
This whole atmosphere feels straight out of a high fantasy movie, and I love it. Heavy Dragons of Fantasy Made Real vibes. This church was filmed at the All Saints Church in Kingston upon Thames, and it's dressed really nicely to reflect how it might have looked during the time this episode is set. The attention to detail with the props is great. We get a shot of the target animal as it drinks peacefully by a stream, something very dragon-esque. Odd how it's here and not next to the church where you could hear it earlier. Is there more than one? Without the context, you could be fooled into thinking that this is not a Primeval episode, until William charges at the dragon and it cuts to the titles. In Abby's flat, Abby is looking for Rex, which follows on directly from the last episode. Jack, meanwhile, hides in their bed.
Some respect, Jack!
Shot.
Reptiles have feelings too, you know.
Abby, you should have used...
A really big slither.
In the arc, Sarah shows Connor that Rex is for sale. Why Sarah is searching the web here during work hours only to find this is convenient to the plot. Tony has put Rex up for sale on a pseudo eBay bid for £500. This screenshot of Rex is from Series 1 Episode 1. Wonder how Tony got that?
That's just a bearded dragon.
Even by Connor's excuses, this is kind of lame. Not even trying to say it's a Draco Volans? Wonder why he's trying to cover this up from Sarah.
I am gonna kill Jack.
Think of the kids, Abby! Connor hides Rex's image on screen from Abby as he bluffs his way past the confused women. As to why the cover-up, it's not really clear.
A cover-up? Connor will be thrilled.
I said next, as in, we've done that. What else you got?
The auction then increases to £750, and then to £1,000 rapidly. I wonder if an actual scientist saw it and recognised it as something unique. Connor phones Jack, who he somehow has the number of now.
Get him back.
How? Just do it.
Watch as Jack doesn't do this.
We see a car scrapyard with vehicles actively being demolished. This guy notices some disturbances as we see the anomaly for this episode. Its selective magnetism pulls the car doors open, as well as this guy's necklaces in a cool shot. They appear to be pulled by fishing line, which was digitally edited out. Suddenly, a creature runs through and appears to be chasing Scrappy Mike as he flees. If you look closely, you can see it has a limp arm and an object sticking out of its shoulder. This shot with the creature reflected in this car's wing mirror is similar to the T-Rex chase in Jurassic Park. The creature stumbles and pushes over some stacked cars in a cool blending of CGI and reality. Scrappy Mike decides to get into his grab crane to defend himself and try to kill the animal, which is kind of brutal.
The animal exists on the planet for the first time in tens of millions of years, and the only way you can express yourself is to kill it.
Where you go?
Sarah, you're past your curfew. Get back to working on that artifact. She clearly wants a bigger role in the series and opts to come with the team on this one. Yay? Interesting that Danny says,
No, we need you here.
when there's not really a reason for her to be in the Ark full time anymore since she's not helping on Cutter's Matrix. Does Danny just not like her? When the team turns up at the site, wow, there's actually some Special Forces soldiers with them this time. What are the chances? This is also the first time we see the whole of the new team working together, with Danny, Connor, Abby, Becca and Sarah. Anytime you want to help the poor animal, or you could just continue standing there watching this happen. There's a remix of one of the tracks used in Series 1 here. The team finally gets Scrappy Mike out of the death device and remove him from the scene.
It's injured. We have to help it.
Abby attempts to go closer but is pushed back by the animal, clearly in distress. With noise deterrents, the team drives the Dracorex back towards the Anomaly, and all seems well until...
Why's he coming back?
Sir William arrives in hot pursuit of his quarry. I wonder if all that armour helped pull William and his horse through the Anomaly. He initially speaks Latin, which Danny translates to, "This is hell, I carry on to glory," and Sarah translates to, "This is hell, my quest continues on to glory." This is the first herbivorous dinosaur to appear within an episode of the show, although several species have already canonically appeared in the first 4 novels, including the Ornithischian Pachycephalosaurus as seen in Extinction Event. At the time of the episode's release, Dracorex was thought to be a genus of Pachycephalosaur.
The fathead with the bald spot, friar tuck.
However, recent debates believe it to be an early growth stage of the species Pachycephalosaurus wyomingensis, or another genus whose identity as either a separate species or growth stage has also been questioned, Stygimoloch, aka Pachycephalosaurus spinifer. The primeval Dracorex has a very cool and unique design, obviously inspired by dragons, but it is very inaccurate if we are comparing it to Pachycephalosaurus, and the only known skull of Dracorex, quote unquote. Its pseudo-wings appear to be 2 dorsal sail fin-like structures running down its back, which it's able to flare, similarly to the raptor's quills. Naturally, these are speculative and not known from any Pachycephalosaur. Interestingly, the original texture map of the model had very dark green sails with red eye spots, whereas in the episode the sails are purely orange. This may be to make them partly translucent. A matching double row of small spikes run down the tail, another dragon feature added.
But what if these fantastic stories were more than myth? What if the legends were true?
It has several dragon-like horns around the back of its head. These horns are far longer and thinner than on the fossil skulls. However, they could be covered in keratin. Even then, the placement is still off. The mouth is full of needle-sharp teeth when Pachycephalosaurs would have had beaks and more leaf-shaped teeth. The mouth itself is completely lacking any lips and or cheeks, leaving the teeth exposed. Whether Ornithischians had lips and how extensive they were is heavily debated, so I won't comment on how accurate this is. If you look closely, the tongue is ever so slightly forked. Some have suggested that its flicking tongue could be misinterpreted by the medieval folks as fire breathing. The nostrils also seem to be too far back and too high on the snout to accommodate the huge nasal horns they've given it. As is normal for primeval, it is oversized, as Pachycephalosaurus is no taller than a man, and if Dracorex is actually a juvenile, it would be even smaller. The arm proportions are nearly twice the actual size, and very human-like for some reason. The wrists are also pronated, and it has weird spikes protruding from its elbows that the real animal likely didn't have. The legs might be slightly too long, but pachycephalosaurs generally aren't well known outside of their skulls. The feet look to be correct, but they've given it weird chicken-like spurs that project up and back from the ankles, which the real animal didn't have. The tail looks to be a bit too short, as pachycephalosaurs had proportionally long tails. It behaves quite aggressively in the episode, and this is often a trope associated with these animals, owing to their headbutting behaviour. Here it feels justified, as it's likely scared from its unfamiliar surroundings and being hunted down by an angry knight. The Dracorex has a nice mottled green colour pattern, with a blue stripe down the side. Yeah, Jurassic World is always copying Primeval. This individual is called a he in this episode, however in Series 4 it is referred to as a she, so the actual sex is unknown. So yeah, this thing is basically a Dracorex in name only, as it's extremely stylized and looks like a mix of theropod and dragon traits, with like shades of pachycephalosaur.
Well, we've had a dragon, knight in shining armour, damsel in distress would be nice.
Well, Sarah gets kidnapped later, so yes. William, having lost his prey, is baffled and likely terrified by the car-destroying actions and flees the scene.
The Dracorex must have come through an anomaly into medieval England.
The idea of creatures not just ending up in the present but also in history and prehistory links back to Series 1 Episode 6 with the future predators in the Permian, but specifically creatures in history links back to the idea of myths and legends and Cutter's Matrix. Danny and Connor go after William whilst Becca and Abby go after the Dracorex. Sarah suddenly pretends she doesn't want any more involvement to Danny and stays behind to do research on William. Her archaeology skills finally get to shine.
You call this archaeology?
William meanwhile rides into town and comes across a display of TV monitors in the shop, which really confuses him. I get that this is meant to show lack of knowledge of technology, but surely he's seen his reflection before. This location was filmed at Charter Key in Kingston. William encounters a man on a motorbike, and as his horse is never heard heavy machinery, freaks out and runs off, leaving him to deal with the vehicle the only way he knows how. Did he think it was a mechanical monster? It certainly roars like one. If you look closely in the following scene, William has taken the motorbike chain as a trophy of victory. We do not see him take this, so it's either a deleted scene or a detail you're just meant to notice. Also, if you look at his sword pommel, a Green Man-like emblem, which is important for later. Finding a laughing doll baby in a bin, he immediately discards it, which is quite funny. I guess William thought the bin was some kind of chest since it's metal. Danny and Connor meanwhile finally catch up to him, whom William instantly perceives as a threat.
Stand back, demon. You are demons, and I am in hell.
Clearly very confused, he thinks this is hell, and that slaying the dragon is the only way back. Danny and Connor trying to explain this isn't the case doesn't seem to work, however.
Technically, it's London.
What a dump.
Killing the dragon will not get you back.
It's not a dragon. It's not a dragon.
Yeah, that's not going to work either, Connor.
Listen, both of you. There are no such things as dragons. What you saw was something that looked like one.
Of course, back in the day, dragons were thought to be just as real as any other animal. Also, the dragon being in medieval London plays into Cutter's theories, way back in Series 1 Episode 3, and earlier in this series.
Ancient civilizations spoke of monsters and dragons. Perhaps they weren't as naive as we assume.
We can help you.
Seemingly accepting this, William pulls a bluff and thwacks both of them with his new bin-lid shield. That looked like it hurt, but what happened to his other shield? He also calls them peasants for some reason. I suppose trying to flex his nobility.
Bloody peasant! Oh, what a giveaway. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, eh?
Inconveniently for Danny and Connor, there's a parade going on, making their search harder. We get William vision inside his visor as he navigates the parade. Over in B-plot, the Dracorex is still running loose as Becca and Abby chase it into a strawberry farm. Abby makes a point in saying she doesn't want the creature harmed to Becca, who basically ignores her. Dracorex appears to be eating the strawberries, perhaps to regain its strength from the injury. Abby threatens to assault Becca with her gun. We know it's just tranquilizer, but this moment is just glossed over. The Dracorex charges, forcing Becca to fall through the berry mix.
If it comes any closer, I'm going to kill it.
That is not the answer.
Why is Abby just standing and watching? She could have easily tranquilized the dinosaur in this time. However, it just passes out from blood loss, exhaustion, infection, strawberry overdose. And then Abby also approaches the unsedated creature, very dangerous as it could still lash out. Why does Abby act so immature in Series 3? Becca meanwhile makes himself useful and eats strawberries.
Strawberry fields forever.
I think you should take a look at it.
Very sassy. For some reason, they take the Dracorex back to the Anomaly site to operate on it, rather than somewhere more secure. This makes very little sense, as they know the Anomaly links back to the medieval times, so taking it back to the Ark would make more sense, as they'd likely have more medicine supplies and equipment there. But you know, the plot has to happen later.
Sarah goes shopping for clothes as she enacts the first phase of her cunning plan. The shots fade between takes as she emerges again and again from the changing room until she finds something that is subtle enough not to cause suspicion. Of all the characters to get a dress-up montage, why was it Sarah? Sarah somehow manages to convince this Special Forces guy guarding the Anomaly to open it and just let her in.
Lester instructed it.
Liar! Does this Special Forces guy even question the fact that Sarah is dressed like some washerwoman? Note that you don't actually see the Anomaly being locked and unlocked in this episode, saving on budget. This is the only time on screen that Sarah goes through an Anomaly, however she does also go through two in the novel Fire and Water. On the other side, Sarah comes across a tribal effigy made of animal bones. Spooky.
What is this? Some kind of tribal fetish? I know this place.
As luck would have it, this pub is the same one back where William comes from. What are the chances? This is possibly one of the only anomalies that links back in time to the same geographical location, another being in the novel Shadow with the Jaguar. Ugh. That's a really cool transition from the modern billboard to the old metal sign as we jump back in time to the Middle Ages and Sarah. The walkway has been both redressed and the wall and background digitally altered to appear in medieval times, which is a cool touch. Sarah narrowly misses being patchy from Walking with Dinosaurs 3D as this bucket of doo-doo drops before her, showing the utter disregard of a sanitary environment in this time. Upon entering what looks to be a stable, a young boy confronts her.
Are you a witch?
Careful, she might turn you into a newt.
A newt?
I got better.
I wonder why she doesn't just go inside the church to ask the others. Perhaps her ethnicity would draw attention to her more? There probably were very few non-white people in England at the time. Also, a child is more likely to give information to a stranger in this case.
The Holy Land?
Bit further than that.
Maybe she came from Fredonia. The Holy Land is referring to Jerusalem.
Tell me more about the village.
Why should I?
The boy appears initially reluctant to give this information until Sarah reveals... Chocolate! Sarah bribes a child with some delicious candy, teasing him with something so nice that he will never get to taste again. That's cruel.
Well, this night.
This boy seemingly tells Sarah all the juicy info about William for her to relay to the team later. After this interaction, Sarah makes a swift exit from the past and comes back through the Anomaly.
You never saw me. This didn't happen.
Lucky this inept guard didn't call Lester to verify Sarah's claim. Does every character have to be a maverick?
I don't like anyone to whom the adjective maverick might be applied.
William enters the Green Man in the present day, possibly looking for answers in a more familiar setting.
Nice costume. Recycled, is it?
Speaking of his armour, it must have weighed a ton. William spots the number 666 tattooed on a biker's neck, which is the mark of the devil.
You're the devil.
Of course, not so blasphemous today, but in William's eyes this is an indicator of
the mark of the beast.
These are the words of the beast.
Foolishly, this guy retaliates, which initiates an all-out bar fight, which everyone just perceives as a regular bar fight until... Given the number of people in the bar that are dressed up as nuns, monks, and flower dresses, etc. from the parade outside, it's entirely possible that Brian is not actually a biker and is just dressed up.
That's for blasphemy.
Connor and Danny arrive after seeing the commotion and try to stop the night.
See how your master cowers before me.
Did William really think that it would be this easy to defeat the devil if this guy was him?
How many demons must I slay this day?
What's that up there?
Must have said gullible on the ceiling. With William distracted, Danny decides to punch an armoured knight in the chest. Not very wise, as it results in a full gauntleted punch in the face.
That's just made you cross, hasn't it?
Can't we just settle this over a pint?
Connor then grabs a dart, which is an indirect reference to him having played darts from Series 2, Episode 1.
I've played darts.
You are too feeble an opponent to be worth killing.
Back in the parade, Danny finds and catches a fake knight, who looks nothing like Sir William, who has already vanished again. Meanwhile, at the Anomaly site, Abby is working on the Dracorex.
If this is a hoax, it's the best I've ever seen.
We need a vet.
I call the...
There's not enough time.
I wonder if head vet Suzanne is available. This also implies that the Ark has some kind of veterinarian to tend to the creatures, possibly also to care for those in the unseen menagerie. Abby has a little moment of doubt about herself operating on the Dracorex. However, when she similarly helped Melanie give birth in episode 3, she showed no doubt at all, and more overconfidence there. Together, Abby and Becca pull the foreign object out through the Dracorex's side.
It's like a spearhead or something.
This spearhead was likely either returned through the Anomaly or taken back to the Ark. This is also the only practical effect for the Dracorex.
We've got to find him before he kills someone, right?
Sarah calls Danny and fills him in about William, which points him towards the church. Note that Connor just got bored during this conversation and disappeared to get coffee.
He can't at the moment. He's helping Abby.
I love that Becca makes this face after Sarah says this. Also, are neither Abby nor Becca questioning Sarah's costume change here?
I can't hear you, Danny.
Sarah, do not hang up.
You're breaking up.
Sarah then sheds her skin. Wait, you could have returned that costume and gotten some money back. She also decides to head to the church, despite Danny telling her not to.
Just not very good at taking orders.
Connor also goes to help Abby, and Danny takes both coffees. Well, he's gonna need a lot of energy for an upcoming fight. Jack phones Connor to inform him that the bidding of Rex has reached £2,000. Who is bidding on Rex? Ben Trent? Duncan? Caroline? An angry former colleague of Tom Samuels, now out of a job? Note how Connor chooses not to tell any of this to Abby. Keep that in mind for the next episode.
We need to put pressure on the wound.
Did Abby just want to hold Connor's hand for a few seconds? So William's horse instinctively knew the way back home, and ends up at the church the episode started in, now in ruins after a few hundred years, which is quite a dramatic reveal. This church must be very close to London, yet it looks like it's in the middle of nowhere, and it was filmed at Newark Priory in Surrey. There's a really haunting Gothic choir that plays here, which echoes the people who once lived around the church, as William wanders through the tombs and old walls. The music of this episode, whilst mainly using tracks from Dominic Shearer, as well as new music by James Hannigan, also features unique music for Sir William, composed by Angus Moncrief, who did all of the medieval-sounding choirs. This is all too much for William, who is clearly very distressed and screams out in pain. William then discovers his own tomb amongst the ruins of the church, which only confirms his belief as he says,
My grave. I'm dead and gone to hell.
Who's dead then?
You can really see his inner conflicts at play here as he struggles to take it all in. It must be a surreal experience to find your own buried body. Tony Curran delivers such a good performance here. Danny, meanwhile, turns up at the church to try and comfort William. He also managed to get there really quickly.
Are you the devil's champion?
Having Danny being sent to torment you is hardly the worst thing to happen. Well, unless you're Ryan Mason.
I can help you.
Danny does his best to reassure William, though this doesn't go exactly as planned.
God on my side. I will not be defeated.
I don't fancy Danny's chances very much here, though he seems to be very good at dodging.
I don't want to fight you.
Because you were a coward.
Well, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Yes.
Despite Danny not initially wanting to raise a weapon against William, he ultimately has to defend himself against the enraged knight with a pair of metal pipes. Now dual-wielding, Danny somehow has remarkable skill against this fully trained sword fighter. What kind of training regimen did they have to go through at the police academy? Spot Jason Fleming's stunt double. Cool stunt either way.
You are an infernal imp, sent to torment my soul.
Honestly, we need more medieval insults. This is such a great line.
You sound just like my mother.
Mrs. Quinn sounds like a delightful woman. You sure she wasn't talking about Patrick? The track that plays here is called Dracorex, even though the Dracorex isn't even in this scene. It's also the last track ever released officially for the show. Also, this track wasn't composed by Dominic Shearer, despite being on the album with him being credited. It features musical motifs from Danny in a helicopter from episode 4. Whoa, Danny is really getting into it. Look at those faces. Only 5 minutes ago he said,
I don't want to fight you.
Is he trying to kill William now? While the boys are busy, Sarah also turns up and discovers a second piece of the inscription for William's tomb, and since she can read Latin, is able to translate it. Suddenly they're atop the wall and Danny is disarmed. Just before he's cloven in two, Sarah saves his life and stops the fight. Is that even allowed in the laws of chivalry?
It goes against all laws of chivalry.
Now slightly calmed by Sarah, William stands by his grave. Danny is wisely keeping his distance, which is quite funny.
My wife lies here beside me.
The camera holds on the keepsake Elizabeth gave William at the beginning as he says this, and as he looks over to the other tomb next to him.
I am just a wandering knight, far below her in rank.
William believes himself to be beneath the standards of Elizabeth, and would probably have never married her so quickly in the end without this pep talk.
Listen to me.
Just calm down.
Danny attempts to warn Sarah about what she's doing, which definitely won't backfire on her.
You must have done something to impress her, William.
This could be interpreted as being strong and kind by not killing the Dracorex, though Sarah doesn't actually say this.
It's written here, in stone. It's your fate, your destiny.
And all of human history is relying on this to take place. No pressure.
My only way back is to kill the beast.
That is not your quest.
William still thinks he needs to prove himself, even though the whole time he's been in the present, the Dracorex hasn't once even come close to William. Sarah then accidentally mentions that the Dracorex is injured. Look at William's face upon hearing this.
Well, you know where it is.
You didn't slay the dragon?
It's on my to-do list.
Sarah mentions the laws of chivalry, which follows a moral code stopping William from killing her. So instead, William resorts to kidnapping her, making Sarah a literal damsel in distress. It's funny how Danny doesn't try and stop William from walking off with one of his team here. These look to be stunt doubles riding the horse in this shot.
Becca, change of plan. I need picking up, now.
So Sarah's car can't be used? Did she still have the keys?
It ends at last.
William arrives at the maintenance workshop the Dracorex is being treated in to fulfill his quest.
Out of my way.
Despite being deemed an unworthy adversary by him earlier, Connor valiantly defends the Dracorex from William, even with a sword to his throat. Sarah is also thrown to him. Abby, however, holds her position. You can also hear William chanting something in Latin here. Connor distracts him, which gives Abby a split second to get in between William and the Dracorex as a barrier. How did Abby hold down William's sword with just 1 foot? Maybe he's tired after fighting demons and a dragon all day.
You show strange courage for a demon.
Oh, I'm a demon, all right.
Abby proceeds to fight William with the courage of a demon, and completely overpowers him in no time, somehow. Also note, Abby does not use her preferred scissor kick, and instead uses Caroline's roundhouse kick from Series 2, Episode 4.
He's choking on the floor.
Sarah again reassures William about being free of the torment of the dragon, which, again, doesn't really work.
I am weary of killing. I kill the beast!
I know in William's eyes that the Dracorex is an evil creature that needs vanquishing, but come on, man, it's not even conscious here. Becca comes in with his favourite gun and starts ordering William about. Of course William wouldn't know what a gun is, so doesn't really see the danger, nor take orders from Soldier Boy.
If you kill him, then history changes. His children will never be born.
Not wanting to change history further, Sarah quotes a line similar to what Cutter says when talking about the creatures.
You should only kill these creatures when there's absolutely no other choice.
Yeah, he's gonna kill Abby. Becca, do it!
Interesting to note that Connor is willing to potentially alter history to save Abby. Also the fact that Becca puts Connor's wishes over Sarah's.
You would sacrifice your life for this savage beast?
Willingly.
Abby is willing to forfeit her own life in favour of the Dracorex, showing how much she really cares for the creatures. Look at how high the Dracorex looks in this shot. What was in those strawberries?
This is not how demons behave, is it, William?
No, this is some sort of trick.
William initially doesn't believe them, but seeing that no one else takes action or even tries to disarm him like before, not even Becca, he slowly and finally realises what the team are saying is the truth. At the very end, he stays his hand, finally accepting that he doesn't need to slay the dragon for his quest to be completed. Would killing the Dracorex at this point even change anything? Suddenly, however, he looks as if he's changed his mind. I guess this guy needed one last thing to take his medieval rage out on. He couldn't just put his sword away without it seeing some action. It just so happens that what he stabs turns out to be a drum of oil, which leaks onto the ground. And technically that oil could have been a dinosaur long ago. So William did slay a dragon, aka a dinosaur after all.
William collapses to the ground in a form of defeat as Abby comforts him. perhaps feeling shame or sorrow for his ignorance. It's hard to tell. The Primeval theme from Series 2 Episode 1 plays here, but oddly it has a higher pitch to it, before switching straight into the track, Into the Permian, as William and the team walk back to the Anomaly. William has all his armour back on, which he had attached to the horse earlier. This is likely because the scene of him arriving and leaving at the Anomaly were shot at the same time.
I thought this might be hell.
Yeah, we got that.
This line is quite similar to Danny talking to Ryan Mason in Episode 2.
I thought it was you.
Yeah, I got that.
But if it is not, can it be paradise?
When I got to your time, I thought it was the Garden of Eden.
Well, it's not exactly paradise, though.
Thank God, for it is an awful place.
Good summary. I wonder how seeing his future and the Anomaly affected William's perception of the world.
And there was that strange light.
Ego vos, relinquo in pacis.
With that, William bids farewell to the team and enters the Anomaly in a much better state of mind. But not before parting Sarah with another speech in Latin and a gift. Sarah translates the speech to, I depart in peace, whereas Danny translates it to, I leave you in peace. The gift he left Sarah is a 7th century old coin from Jerusalem, which William must have collected during one of his crusades.
Worth a few quid on eBay.
Like the dodo stick.
The experts would have difficulty explaining why it's still brand new.
Would anyone even take it seriously? Anyone she gave it to would probably brand it as a fake.
Where did you find out all that stuff about William? It's almost like you were there.
Yeah, funny that. Danny almost seems as if he's testing her here, but she just keeps on lying. Maybe she is a witch after all.
What are you going to do with the Dracorex?
Ever the animal lover and prehistoric animal harbourer, Abby takes it upon herself to keep the Dracorex. Or does she? Presumably she didn't get to keep it, and it instead ended up in the menagerie, until Series 4 when it was moved to the New Ark's menagerie.
I'm gonna wait till Anomaly opens to the right time period and then put him back.
Well, that shouldn't be too difficult, considering half the anomalies in this show lead to the late Cretaceous. This also begs the question, why didn't they try and return it in one of the Cretaceous anomalies in Series 4 and 5?
I don't think you fit in the flat.
Have you seen the size of Abby's flat? This also makes it the only dragon alive today.
I am the last one!
Sir William and his horse return safely back to his village and the church where the episode began to announce his success at the hands of the dragon.
The beast is...
William, now more educated and enlightened by the fact that he went on a somewhat life-changing experience, lies about slaying the Dracorex, because he knows that his contemporaries would never understand if he told the truth to them. Maybe the real beast was the lessons he learned about life and death along the way. That's way too cheesy. Presumably also William kept the truth secret from everyone to the grave, as visions of the future and the existence of dinosaurs so early in human history would no doubt cause a lot of timeline changes which we really don't need more of. William now also has the knowledge that Lady Elizabeth Lionel is destined to become his wife, which he wastes no time in securing.
Death kiss! And we will have children by the dozen.
And they both lived happily ever after. This is good closure for William's story, and a nice ending for one of the more interesting one-off characters of the show. The whole way this ending is presented definitely feels like the conclusion of a fantasy movie, which is impressive considering how different the rest of the show is. The music that plays here even has a medieval tone to it, which only adds to the authenticity of it all. William's story is over, but the show must go on. Back in the present...
I've gone for the lizard.
He's not a lizard! Jack must have given Connor, Tony, the lizard-stealing online auctioneer's address from the phone call earlier. And Connor is still keeping this all secret from Abby. Reasons unknown.
Cost you $3,000.
Someone is clearly very desperate for this bearded dragon if the bidding price increased by $1,000 in the space of a few hours.
How about you bring him to me? Or I'll come in and get him.
Yeah? You and whose army?
This army.
Connor's extreme close-up must be all that Tony can see. How close is he standing to him? When he moves, however... You can bet that the sunglasses were Connor's idea. Becca looks so cocky here.
Mine? Actually.
Connor must come across as some kind of mafia boss with these bodyguards, since Tony presumably doesn't know him, as they've never met before.
You better come in.
At least Tony has the intelligence to admit defeat at the hands of these 3 soldiers aiming guns at him. Suffice to say, we never see this guy again. I wonder where Tony had Rex in his house. Probably caged up somewhere.
Where are you, dude?
In closing, episode 7 takes place around 8 hours, and it's a short amount of time between this and the next episode. Join us next time for the breakdown of Episode 8 of Primeval Series 3, but stay until the end of the credits for Alfred's breakdown of Primeval Evolved Week 7.
Week 7 of Primeval Evolved was released 2 days after Episode 7, with the clue word being dragon. Again, due to the fact we can't access the website anymore, this is all we know. Whilst hiding from Captain Becker, Sarah gushes about visiting medieval England. The interaction items are a sketchbook, which has the profile of the Dracorex, and Temple TV, where Connor talks about how dragons are in almost every culture and what could have inspired the legends.
If you think about it, it kind of makes sense. What people feared hundreds of years ago were things like lions, tigers, and crocodiles, so perhaps they all just blended in the collective human unconsciousness to become dragons. The ultimate predator.
This week's game is Access Denied. Eve gets you to hack Christine Johnson's confidential files. And that's it for this week. This is Alfred signing off.